Hey guys, today I want to talk a little bit about my run at my local league cup. I ended up getting first place, had a pretty good tournament run overall, and it was the last cup going into NAIC. Local events for championship points at least have pretty much ended today. So it was the last cup of the season, my last chance to get that final playmat, and I'm glad I was able to do it. But I want to talk a little bit about my list here specifically, kind of some thoughts I had with this one and why it looks a little bit strange. Looks like a mixture of Pult Hammers and Pult Nor. It turned out to actually be really good, so I want to kind of talk about that as well and kind of give my thoughts on the list. But yeah, overall, so far, it's been a good season for me. It was the first season that I decided to kind of go to some more stuff. I really tried to max out my locals. I got close. I got 3 challenge wins, 3 cup wins, and then a second place for each of those. So pretty much almost maxed out. I missed out on like 13 points, something like that. So right now I'm sitting at like 347 points. I did the math. The only way I can qualify for Worlds is if I get top 8 at NAIC, which, hey, I mean, I guess anything's possible, but we'll see what happens. But overall, I'm happy with how the season has gone. I had a good finish at a regional. Had a solid day 2 finish. I was able to win cups at locals and stuff like that, and that was kind of really my goal for this year, just to kind of show myself that I can do it. So I think next year is going to be the year that I really try to go for my Worlds invite and try to travel and go to regionals and stuff like that. So I will still be going to NAIC this year. That is still coming up, so if you see me there, feel free to say hi. But yeah, it's going to basically close out the competitive season for me. But we had to, of course, get that cup win today. I wanted that mat, like I mentioned, and I also wanted a chance to kind of like test out a deck in person going into NAIC. I'm really kind of on the fence on what I want to play. Like, I've been playing Dragapults since like Vegas. That's kind of been the main deck I've been playing, and it kind of sucks right now that everybody's playing Dragapult because you play a lot of mirror matches. Funny enough, as you can see here, I actually just went through the Dunsparce gauntlet and only faced 1 Dragapult. But for the most part, Dragapult's everywhere. So it's like, do I want to play mirror matches all day? Not really necessarily, but it is the deck that I'm most practiced with. My other consideration going into NAIC is Hydrapple. And right now I'm still kind of heavily leaning towards the Dragapult, but that's kind of my other consideration. But let's talk about the list here first, and then I'll talk a little bit about my run. Like I mentioned, kind of a combination between Pult Nor and Pult Hammers, kind of the 2, I'd say, best versions of Dragapult right now. You can call it Dragapult to Dunsparce another version of the deck. I kind of consider it the same thing as Hammers. Like, it's not that different, I don't think. But I decided to play this because I was watching the indie stream, and I was watching Justin Newdorf play on stream. And I kind of saw like him playing the this type of build. Essentially, he has some different cards than my list here, but it really kind of opened up the idea where I was like, okay, like, does this kind of work? Because right now Hammers feel really good. It feels really bad to have to play Hammers, but they feel really good, like, to use them. And I also obviously love playing, Dusknor. I think it's very strong right now in Dragapult. So I kind of like looked at the list a little bit, or tried to figure out the list a little bit too. I joined Summit's stream, another Dragapult player. Some people in his chat were like kind of piecing it together. So I kind of got an idea of what the 60 was, and then I kind of looked at a few cards and swapped some things out here. So I know with Justin's list, he played the Moltres. He had a Dawn in there, and I believe he had one other card, a third Crispin instead of the Roses. I decided to opt for a second Badoo and cut the Moltres. I added the Roses Encouragement and cut the Crispin, and then I also added the Judge instead of the Dawn. Really, my thought process with this deck list here was, I think Hammers, if you can land 1 or 2 heads and discard an energy, it can really just swing matches like entirely. There's a lot you can do when you combo that with like Watchtower and Unfair Stamp and Dusknor. You can board wipe stuff. I think that the combination of Dusknor and Hammers can be very, very oppressive. It can, you can definitely wipe boards and get rid of energies on whatever's left over, and really just kind of take over the game from there, which feels really nice. The Moltres would feel really good. I just don't think there's this space with this kind of build. Like, I think Moltres is very good for certain matchups, but I also feel like Dusclops and Dusknor can kind of help fix some of those matchups. Moltres is for stuff like Heal Mask, Ogrepon, and like Raging Bolt and stuff like that. And I feel like in those matchups, you can use the Ghosts to also kind of offset some of those prizes. So I do think that it would be nice, but not necessarily something that I have space for. The Judge is going to be replaced by a red card with the next set, obviously. But for now, I have Judge just for that added hand disruption, which I'm glad I did because I hit multiple Alakazams. Definitely came in clutch for sure. And then the Roses, I think, is really nice because if we're going up against hammers, they're discarding our energies. It's kind of nice to have that comeback mechanic. I also think it combos well with Dusknoir because you can blow up your own Dusknoir, force them to take a prize, and then now if you're behind in prizes, you can activate Roses. So it's kind of nice because you can like basically attach 2 from your discard and then attach for turn as well onto like a Monkey Dory or something. So that feels really nice as well. And then there is only 1 monkey in this list, which feels kind of bad. Because of that, I would maybe cut 1 dark energy and add that as like a psychic or a fire energy, just to kind of add more consistency with that. It would be nice to play 2 monkeys, but at the same time, what I've noticed playing with Dusknoir, a lot of times you kind of only set up 1 monkey. You try to set up 2, obviously, but a lot of times you're kind of like focused on setting other stuff up at times. So the 1 monkey, it would be nice to have 2, but I would rather have second Badoo. I think that second Badoo is just like uncuttable to me. Like, I think it's such a strong card. You want to increase your chances of opening it. You know, if they knock out your Badoo, you have another Badoo that you can basically search out if you're under item lock. So I think second Badoo is just really, really good right now in Dragapult. And we're starting to see people like go back to that as well. So it feels really bad to just play 1 Badoo. I'd rather just play 1 monkey, which might be incorrect. But again, we have stronger stuff like Dusclops and Dusknoir in this version of the deck. So we have other ways to kind of do that added damage, which is nice. The hammers feel really good, like I said. I really don't like the idea of playing hammers, but now that I've kind of played it a little bit, I kind of see the vision. I see how strong they can be. I see, especially in this version, how it can just really combo with Dusknoir. So I really kind of like this. I think 3 hammers is fine. You know, a 4th would be nice, but it's like, what do we cut? You know what I mean? I almost would consider going down to 2 hammers for a 3rd stadium. I think a jamming tower would be really nice in this list. To deal with stuff like Crustle, which I almost had to play. But again, it's just kind of like, where do we fit it? You know, like my whole philosophy with hammers is I'm not going to cut consistency to add more hammers. So I want 4 of all my items, all that kind of stuff. So I think 3 is kind of fine just because there's not a whole lot of other stuff that we can cut. And when you look at this list, I mean, it kind of works. Like, essentially what we're doing with this list is we're cutting rare candies and replacing them with crushing hammers. And I honestly think it's fine because I feel like, especially in the mirror match, you're not able to use your rare candies because of Badoo, right? So for the most part, rare candy is just kind of a dead card because by the time you can use it, everything's already set up, right? Or you already lost. But with hammers, they're useful throughout the entire game. So instead of having these dead cards like rare candy that you can never use or never find or combo or whatever, you now have a card that's useful early game, it's useful late game, it's useful when you combo with Unfair Stamp and really just put the pressure on. So it honestly, it's like, would I rather play Red Candies or Crushing Hammers? I kind of would rather play Crushing Hammers because it gives you more of an advantage, I feel like, and it's less of a dead card. Rare Candy feels like a dead card if you're not able to use it early game. Late game, it's not really that useful, you know, like especially in the mirror match, right? You're not going to late game bench a Duskull because it's just going to get knocked out, right? If it had 70 HP, maybe a different story, but the reality is at 60 HP, you're not able to bench the late game, and yeah, it just feels nice to have hammers instead of Rare Candy. And I think Rare Candy's kind of bad right now. But that's the list. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. Again, changes I would make would be cutting the second Dark Energy, adding that to a different type, and then obviously Judge, swap that out with red card, and then maybe go down to 2 hammers and put a jamming tower. But again, I like having the 3 hammers, so I don't know if I would do that, but that's kind of all I would really change with this list. Other than that, it felt perfectly fine. Let's talk a little bit about the tournament run though. So again, this was the last cup of the season. I decided to sign up for it because I wanted one more shot of getting the playmat and you know, getting another win, essentially kind of upping my points a little bit. I do have a 2nd place cup finish from like this quarter, so I had like a 2nd place and a 4th place. So basically I needed top 2 to improve my cups essentially. So that was kind of my goal going into this, was getting top 2. I think overall might have been like 17, 18 players, something like that. I'm not sure the entire count, but it's a pretty decent sized tournament. A lot of people on Dragapult, a lot of people on other stuff. There's a couple of Archaludons there, some Alakazams, all kinds of random stuff. And as you can see here, everybody played the Dunsparce today, so the double watchtower feels really nice. I think it is the best stadium for Dragapult Dusknoir for sure. Risky Ruins is nice too. Jamming Tower feels a little bit useless except for certain stuff like Crustal. But for the most part, I think Watchtower is the way to go right now, especially for like a mirror match into Pult Hammers and that kind of stuff. So feels very good. And yeah, as you can see here, we basically hit the Dunsparce all day. Round 1 was against Alakazam, and I want to preface this by saying I made a lot of mistakes in this tournament, so I definitely need to clean up my play. I caught myself making like way too many mistakes throughout the day, so I'm really surprised I was able to win this because I definitely almost threw multiple times, but we managed to get the win. So it started off with round 1. I ended up going first against Alakazam. The Dunsparce had a pretty good setup turn 1. Then they had their turn 1, and all they had down was the Dunsparce and an Abra essentially. And then it was off to my turn, and I had like Dusclops already, and then I also had like, I think I had Dragcloak with an energy from turn 1, so all I needed was like a second energy, and I could basically pop Clops on the Abra and then knock out the Dunsparce. And essentially what happened was I kind of misplayed, like I put Watchtower down, and then I realized I needed to play Meowth before Watchtower. And then I decided to Lilies because all I needed was the last energy, and then I drew 8 cards, but I should have only drawn 6. So I really kind of just messed up everything pretty much. But I was still in such a good spot because I was able to knock out the Abra turn 1, and he never could really get anything established after that. So I managed to win it. I got a warning for drawing 8 instead of 6, and I was like, okay, I need to clean up my play because that's not really a mistake I typically make. But I was just like, I was kind of flustered, you know what I mean? So we managed to get the win there. Round 2, hit another Alakazam. This one was bad. Like, I could not play the game. My opening hand was legitimately 4 energies and a Night Stretcher. The only supporter I announced during the entire game was one boss's orders just to try to buy me some more time, but I never drew into Lilies. I never got Dragcloaks on board. It was essentially just an unplayable game, so it felt kind of bad because I couldn't play the game. So it never feels good to start off 1-1 and you can't really play the game, but I was like, okay, we got to win, you know, the next 3 essentially to make top cut, because it was only a top 4 at this one. So I knew to make it, I basically had to go 4-1 to lock it in. 3-1-1, I think 1 or 2 of them made it in. No, I think just one of them, yeah. But I knew for the most part I had to go 4-1, right? Round 3, I hit the Archaludon with the Dunsparce, another interesting deck that you don't see too often. I kind of figured they played Battle Cage because I hit one at a different cup one time, and I had never really played against Archaludon, and it kind of threw me off, so I was prepared for it this time. They actually never got the Battle Cage down. Fortunately for me, they had a very early knockout on Badoo, and I had a pretty decent setup going already, so I was able to unfair stamp right away, and basically they just weren't able to play the game after that. I kind of just unfair stamped them. I think I crushing hammered them, got rid of an energy as well, so they couldn't attack for a turn after that, and I was able to just kind of go from there. So again, crushing hammer with unfair stamp, very strong, especially when you could blow stuff up with Dusknoir as well. So it was just one of those games where I was able to unfair stamp. Round 4, we go up against the Mega Lopunny, and they also had Mega Frostlass as well. This one was another one where obviously they have Battle Cage. I went against Battle Cage all day pretty much. Now that I look at it here, like 5 of my rounds was Battle Cage, so we managed to, you know, beat that, thankfully. But yeah, this one was I think kind of a similar thing if I remember correctly. I think I played my unfair stamp early, or I played Judge. I played one of them. They had a very low hand count though, and I decided to play my Watchtower early because they had, like, you know, not a whole lot of cards in their hand. It's kind of risky when they play Battle Cage, because if you play your stadium first, you're essentially giving yourself less turns to work with if they find their stadium to be able to like spread damage onto the bench. Lucky for me though, they kind of never found their stadium until like the very end of the game, so I was able to just kind of like, you know, knock stuff out, spread damage, all that kind of stuff. Watchtower really put in the work for this one. Like, I think out of all my games, Watchtower put in the most work for this matchup specifically. So I was able to just go ahead and take it, and I was able to get a Dusknoir set up too. Like, I think I went first if I remember correctly, and like turn 1, Duskull, Dusclops, Dusknoir, so I was able to just kind of set it up no problem, take the one shot on the Mega Lopunny, and then just kind of clean up some other prizes. So overall pretty smooth. Round 5, up against Lucario with the Dunsparce. Same thing as the Archaludon matchup, and we were talking about it too. Like, they were hesitating on it, but essentially they took the early knockout on Badoo. I had one card in hand. It was unfair stamp, so I was able to stamp and just kind of, you know, basically locked them out of the game. So another one of those games where unfair stamp just put in the work, and really kind of allowed me to set up and play the game. After that, we hit our top 4 here. The Alakazam I played against was the one that I had lost to earlier. Thankfully for me, I was able to play the game this time, so round 1 went pretty smooth. I remember I got a pretty good Dusclops play, and same thing, I was able to kind of just spread damage early on. They had hesitated to put down Psyduck, so because of that, I was able to knock stuff out with Clops. Game 2, I ended up losing that one. I don't remember exactly what happened with that one. I know that one was like a pretty back and forth game, if I remember. Like they definitely just beat me that game, I remember that. So I ended up losing that one, and then game 3 ended up going to time, but I essentially prevented them from getting Alakazam on the board. They were only able to get a couple average down like per turn. I was able to kind of wipe them, and so it went to time, and it basically goes down to who has more prizes. I left them with like no attackers, so because of that, I was able to win the game. And then we entered finals, and funny enough, my opponent was also playing Dusknor with hammers, so pretty much just a mirror match here. They had some other stuff with their list. I know they had Second Monkey because they used that against me, but I don't remember everything else that they had. But yeah, this one was classic Pult matchup here. Again, kind of back and forth. I will say that like I felt like it was a really good set, because like round 1, it felt a little bit back and forth. I was able to kind of go for some aggressive plays, like using Dusclops on Badoo, and then Badooing them, preventing them from getting it back. And I was able to just kind of like start rolling a little bit. They scooped it up. Game 2, kind of the opposite. They were able to go for some good early plays, and I saw I had no chance, so I scooped it up. And then for game 3, we had about like 15 minutes left, I think. It ended up going to time, but I was ahead in prizes. I had a pretty big advantage, and again, this is where I misplayed. It was like my final turn of the game. I had like mind bended his only Dragapult. He had no other attackers on bench, and like in my head, like I was like, okay, all I need to do is pop Dusknor and then Phantom Dive and I win. I forgot that they hit a Crushing Hammers, I think, on my Dragapult, so I was missing an energy. So I popped the Dusknor, and like basically I needed an energy to attack, and then I realized it. But then I was able to recon, and like I top decked the energy that I needed, so I was able to actually win it. But this one definitely kind of came down to a coin flip, because they ended up flipping to try to attack with Dragapult when I had mind bended it at the very end, like after time was called. Had they landed that, it would have really kind of flipped the game a little bit, I think. But they ended up getting tails, and so because of that, they weren't able to attack, and I was able to just take the prize lead from there and win the game. So thankfully, the coins were on my side today. Again, it feels bad right now to say that we have to flip coins. So very iconic that I ended up winning this on a mind bend confusion flip. But overall, really solid tournament. My big takeaways going into NAIC is play your Watchtowers. I think this card is broken. I think it's very good right now into a lot of different decks. If you're not playing the Dunsparce version of Dragapults, I think Watchtower is the best stadium to go with. Risky Ruins is good too, obviously, but I just think Watchtower allows you to honestly just like, I want to say go for more aggressive plays, if that makes sense. Like, I think Stamp plus Watchtower is very, very strong into a lot of these decks. So I think that this is a pretty similar build to what I'm considering to NAIC. I got to do some more testing and figure out what I'm going to do here, but yeah, I think Dusknor is very strong. I think that this kind of slower build, less reliant on rare candies, I think allows you to have a good chance in the mirror match. And if you can get a Dusclops down turn 2, you're pretty much good to go as far as, kind of taking control of the mirror match. So I got to do some more testing. I'll let you guys know how it goes. I'm excited for NAIC. Let me know your thoughts on the list or the tournament here. And yeah, hope you guys have a good one. Thanks for watching.